We are back and better than ever. The Contractor's Edge, the podcast for contractors who want to build better businesses. We got the big shot in the house today, folks. We got Eric Fortenberry, the founder and CEO of JobTread Software, the number one rated construction management platform out there. Eric, man, you're incredible, right? I mean, first off, obviously, congrats on all the success with JobTread. I think I
Appreciate
just
it.
saw you guys hit over 11,000 companies, right? Your
Yep.
platform managed $5 billion in construction jobs last year. You just were rated sixth fastest growing tech company in North America. I mean, you're blowing it up. And this isn't the first time you've done this, right? I mean, I know you've had other successful ventures, right? Where you got awards from the White House, right? You've been there, done that, man. Hey, first off, thanks so much for everything you're doing for the construction world, for all the contractors out there, and thanks for joining us, my man.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Appreciate you having me on.
So, you told some pretty cool stories at JobTread Connect, which was such a great event. I got to connect with so many great people, so much to learn, and honestly, just a fun time, right? And so at Connect, you kind of shared your story, right? Obviously, after you sold your previous company, right, you're kind of figuring out what's going on next, the next thing you want to sink your teeth into. You actually were working with the GC company. You were CEO for the company for a little bit, right? And you grew the company pretty well as kind of your test for, hey, there's something here, right?
Yeah, no, it was a buddy of mine. He was running a construction company, and they were about 5 years old, so they had kind of got past that initial hurdle. They were doing around 5 million in sales, 10 employees. But man, like it was just like hitting that glass ceiling where they just could not scale the business. They were taking on more projects. That's when the wheels started to fly off. The disorganization, like just compounded to the point where it's like, man, like what are we doing here? Like things are just like super chaotic. And he asked me to come over and help him figure out how to scale the business. And I walked in and I just like I saw the chaos, like literally like papers walking in the door. Those their timesheets. They're putting them in these folders. They're printing every bill, everything they're getting. Like they thought they were like, oh yeah, we're organized because we're printing it all out and we're putting it into these binders and we're putting it on the wall. And whenever the project manager came in, like they would go flip through it and they would like scribble on it, and then someone else would get it and type it into this spreadsheet, and then someone would copy it to this other sheet, and then they'd manually enter it into QuickBooks. And I'm just like, guys, like whoa, hold on, like we are like working so hard and making so many just manual like unnecessary typos and mistakes and like bottlenecks for ourselves. And I was like, you guys just need some software, like let me go find you something. And so I went and I looked at everything out there trying to find them some software, and like I was just shocked, man. Like this industry is huge. Yeah, I figured there was going to be something that would be a good fit, but it was like either super antiquated, super expensive, or it's going to be hard to customize. And long story short, they're like, Eric, you're a software guy. Can't you just build us something? I was like, well, hold on. I wasn't trying to like come on. And they weren't to maintain it. If I did build them something, but I saw a huge need, man. I saw a huge market that was lagging in technology, so I agreed to do it. And basically, took over as CEO. Told them I'd give them 1 year of my time, and everything I built though was my intellectual property. So they agreed, made me partner CEO, took over the business, and I built JobTread out of a needs basis while running this construction company. And we grew them from 5 to 8 million in sales that year. We increased their gross profit by 43%. And I saw the impact that I made on this one business. Like, man, it's too good to leave sitting here with just y'all. So we started JobTread officially that next year in 2019, and the rest is history.
Wow. I mean, yeah, you guys have been off and running ever since. And we're going to be talking a lot about AI. Of course, JobTread just dropped the AI connection tool, which has been
Yep.
unbelievable, right? We're going to be diving deep into that 100%. But I kind of want to start at like the foundational side of things, right? Like when we were talking at Connect, you're kind of going over your feature rollout, what the roadmap looks like, everything like that. I know you had some hesitations with AI, right? I
Yep.
know you wanted to protect the integrity of really everything you guys have achieved in creating such a foundationally strong software with JobTread, something that can actually be an operational system for these contractors, right? You decided to go with the MCP route, which I'm a big fan of. I think it's the best way rather than just little bells and whistles AI, right? Because it's a lot of freedom. So, kind of tell me about that decision. Obviously, it's tech is rapidly changing so quickly, right? And you care so much about your customers. Tell me a little bit about that decision making process. Is like, hey, this is the way to go and the best way to serve our clients as AI is rolling out and becoming more and more powerful.
Yeah, look, obviously we're huge fans of AI. I've personally been using it for years. Absolutely love it. I believe it's actually made me like a superhuman. Able to solve any problem. I can do so many things at once. Like it's pretty incredible. But again, like our hesitancy leading up to to this point has really been like my biggest fear, right, is that like if we give contractors this tool that has the potential to just basically just make it super easy, kind of whip out a job, build a budget, a schedule, and all the things that we know that it can do, and it's now doing for our clients. Like my biggest fear was like, man, like is that going to actually do them a disservice? Like I'm worried that again, naturally contractors have that they may have that desire to just use this as the easy button, let it kind of do its thing and like and quit checking the work and doing their job. Like, again, like AI is a tool. It is not meant to replace, their experience and their like, human connection with their clients and with their field guys. And like, I just, again, my biggest fear is that like, someone is going to go and they're going to use AI to build out the budget. They're going to go sell a fixed price job. Let's say it's $100,000 job. And then, push come to shove, a month into it, we realize, oh crap, like we forgot, this $20,000 line item of whatever it is, and it's like now we're just SOL, like like I mean at the end of the day, like customer doesn't care, like judge doesn't care, like I mean we're on the hook. That was our responsibility, and we didn't check the AI. And I don't want someone being able to point the finger back at JobTread and say, well, JobTread told me this is the price because JobTread's AI said this. And it's like, man, like that's been my biggest fear, is I don't want it to do more harm than it does good. And so that's kind of been our thought, was like let's continue to watch it. We've been running lots of different LLMs and different models on our own. We've been playing with them. I mean, you've seen we've added the little kind of bells and whistles, the content generator, the daily log summary. I mean, there's a handful of little things sprinkled in there, but like the biggest problem that we've seen is the accuracy, and it's AI's ability to just like so confidently tell you something when it's like 100% hallucinating. I think that's a real issue. The AI industry, like every model out there, like they know it's such an issue that they track the hallucination rate. And it's like, I just worry about kind of giving wrong information or having AI give wrong information. And so, that's kind of sort of what got us to this point. But like, again, as we've seen, the industry and AI continue to evolve, when this MCP technology came out and we really started seeing the possibilities here, it made total sense that we needed to give people the ability to make their own decision, to bring their own AI and be able to connect it to JobTread. Because, again, if you are good with it and you understand how to use AI, how to prompt it, how to like, get the results that you need, but then also check it and double check it and triple check it. And like, for those people out there, like, I can't hold back, for the techies and the nerds and the people who just, they know how to really harness the power of AI, so we just felt like it was the right time to release, what we're calling our AI connector, which, again, I'm a huge fan of Claude. I recommend Claude, but it can connect really to any,
Claude,
yeah,
let's go.
it can connect to any AI
Let's
out
go,
there.
baby. Yeah, are we gonna see Claude in the marketplace? Are you gonna work your magic and get them on the marketplace or what?
It's so I do have a contact at Anthropic. Been working through them. Their partner program. It's I think the problem that Anthropic's having again is like they're just seeing this exponential growth. They're really struggling to keep up with everything. And so we'll see. I hope that we can get in there. And get a closer relationship with them. We've in just the last week, we have gotten them over 1,000 new customers who have created a Claude account and connected it to their JobTread. So, they better listen and they better come to the table. That's for sure.
Oh my god, I love that, dude. So I definitely want to go later into the kind of like the ecosystem that you've created because you've done something amazing. Like you're great at creating relationships and an ecosystem that everybody kind of wins. We'll definitely talk about that. But with the prompting stuff here, first up, I want to say this. I'm a huge believer in AI. I absolutely love AI. I fell in love with AI like 4 years ago, right? It is incredible. It's allowed me to achieve things that I didn't think I was ever going to be able to achieve. Right. But I just want to say this.
Same here.
Yeah, right. But there's no magic beans. JobTread, Claude, Better Boss, right? There's no magic beans, right? I think I probably worked harder than I have in the past, even more hours, right? But but productivity is like 10x, right? So when they say give me money for tokens, I say here, take my money for my tokens, right? So
Yeah.
let's say that we're a JobTread user or we're somebody who's thinking about coming over to JobTread, right? Of course, AI is something that I'm looking at, right? I almost think we could kind of start, an MCP, like if you're going to dumb it down, like how would you kind of explain that to a JobTread user of what that looks like? First off, the connection's super easy, right? It's just a quick link that you're adding, super easy, just hit a button afterwards. But how would you kind of explain that?
I mean, it's essentially it's this, this connector tool that allows you to bring whatever AI you want, and then we're giving it additional guidance on how to use our API. The reality is that, the reason why we were able to do this and do it so quickly is because of our tech stack and the foundation that we have built with our open API. Like our own app, like, when you go to jobtread.com and you use it in the UI, like that is actually built on top of our own API. And so everything you can do in the UI, is being done through the API. And so, to
Mm-hmm.
really just like so quickly, flip the switch and give, Claude and ChatGPT and all these others, like, all we had to do was say, hey, here is how you can communicate with our API. Here is literally every possible thing that you might want to do under the sun. And so, the end user doesn't sort of see this MCP layer, but it's just creating the communication and the connection between the AI and our API.
Mm-hmm. And it's incredible, right? So basically, you never have to really leave the interface of your favorite AI tool, right? So once you have that
Yeah.
MCP connected there, I mean, the way I like to do it, right, is either double monitors or split screens, right? And I'll have JobTread on one, and then I'll have Claude on another, right? And I'll see it doing things in my JobTread right there. So one tip too that I like to do is basically I download the Google Drive folder, right? Or the application on my computer, right? And so when I'm working from a folder, I'm connecting it to that, and then I'm using the MCP for my JobTread account, right? So now let's say I want to do, I'm a new user and I want to add custom fields, right? Now it's analyzing every single paperwork document, the conversation we had, the important KPIs we want to track, everything like that, right? Before doing it, and I actually have a video coming out here. I think I've done everything under the sun since it was released last week. So I got a video. We're tiering our favorite JobTread AI features. As we're recording this, it's going to publish in about 12 minutes. So make sure you guys are checking that out. We're also doing an advanced boot camp. So we're coming out there in May for the advanced boot camp, which you can talk a little about as new. But you promised I can talk about some AI stuff, right?
Yeah, we're gonna give you an AI session for sure.
Oh yeah.
I think Nick, one thing I want to add to that, you and I, we probably spend more time, at our computer than maybe your average contractor. I think the real power of this thing is like all that windshield time where they can literally just pull up their phone, open their Claude app or their Chat GPT app, and they're just talking to it. Like right after when you get to that job site and you're walking around, like you could just, verbalize everything that you want it to know. And then, when you're done or right after you leave the job site, you pop it open, you just do that big dump of everything and just let it summarize it, let it create the to-do list, to build out the schedule, the job. Like, I mean, that's the power. Is like, you don't have to be at your computer. You just talk to it.
Yeah, dude, that thing is insane. Because I mean, I've been working with contractors for over a decade. Do you know how many Zoom calls I've done in the truck? Right, they're running and
Yep.
gunning. So now, if you're a JobTread user, you can literally be in the truck, right? You can just talk to it, tell it what update you want to make, what information you need, what you need to get built, whatever it is, and it's gonna do it for you, man. I mean, this thing is absolutely insane. I mean, even the estimating. I think like I said, the mobile is one of my features that I put on there. Is when I was ranking it with the AI for sure, right? But I think the more time I get to spend with your community and the users, and just I identifying their needs and where we can kind of help them out. I think one thing that's kind of interesting is kind of the takeoff and the estimating process, right? And so I want to hear your thoughts on this because this is the number one area that people waste the
Yeah.
most time in. There's no doubt. And one thing that does worry me is a little bit, it's just the job costing and accuracy, right? But if you can dial in your prompting, which is the number one advice I would say, dial in your prompting. Start out slow, right? Dial it in, see what results you get. make it confirm things before just releasing it, right? In the beginning for sure, right? But I mean, if you're trying to do a job, you're trying to, let's say it's a, an addition or, something that's a little bit more complex, right? The way I look at it is if you're recording all the conversations, you have your stuff kind of built out. Maybe you're going to have it bring out a cost group that you know is accurate, has all the stuff you want in there, right? But I mean, you could take plans, right? Have that in like the Drive or in JobTread, right? Add in the different information, and the better you get it prompted, you're going to be getting estimates out with a takeoff like insanely
Yeah.
quick, right?
Yeah. It's pretty wild.
I mean, tell me more about
Yeah. I
that.
mean, again, it's
What do you think of
just
that?
seeing the stories that people, in just a week, like what they've been able to say and what they've been able to do. I mean, it's crazy, right? Like, I mean, before you had to have this special software to be able to go in and, do that takeoff. Like, I mean, like just drop it right into Claude and let Claude go. And, if you need to, calculate some square feet, linear feet, do some counts, like whatever. Like, I mean, like the power of Claude and the AI. I mean, it's unreal. And again, now I'm going to say, I still encourage you to double check, at least spot check, like don't just, automatically take it for granted, but like, man, like when you can have it go do that takeoff, figure out all the dimensions. And if you've already got your catalog set up and you want to do your job, or kind of price out, all of your estimate there by, square feet, linear feet, kind of however you kind of, did the unitized, cost and price. Like, I mean, it can just drop it right
Which
in
it could
there.
help you with. It could help you with that too. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Because I think that's one area that people struggle with is getting those like rates and then like square foot rates or whatever it might be. If you have enough historic data in there and Drive, right, you want to double check this up. But do you think that's an option to kind of have AI even help you a little bit get to that point? As long as you're kind of confirming it, right? Always confirm, always confirm.
Yeah,
What do you think?
absolutely. I mean, again, though, it all comes down to like, and this is why we've all been like such big advocates for like, you got to get the data in, and if you have spent the last few years, like, doing the job costing, like recording your actuals, like, having all the invoicing, having everything in this system, like the data that you have is just like, it is such a crazy amount of data, but like people don't often know or understand how they can like turn that data into actionable information. And so by having all of that data in there, and if you don't have it in there today, start tracking it, start doing it, because a couple months down the road, like you are going to then be able to have AI go and analyze all of your historical data to show you
Yep.
trends and to do these like calculations that like you never would have thought. Like you might not even know that you're losing money on a particular trade, or that your production rate for framing is too low or too high or whatever it is. But like, again, like you just never know, what you might be able to extract from that data. And so that's where this AI that can just like, scour all of the information that you've got and just find these trends and find this insight. Like this is how you really dial in your business and take it to the next level.
hmm And so, I mean, I agree with all of that, right? Because there's no skipping the foundational groundwork, right? So, like, let's say that, maybe I've been on job trip for a while,
Yep.
right? And I just added in my FCP. Um, I'm loving it, right? But I'm not 100% sure where to go. Like, what information do I need to see? Like, what do I need to maybe clean up or analyze? Like, do you have any suggestions for those people? Because I mean, this is so exciting, but I think some people didn't really even know what they wanted AI for. They just wanted AI, but now they have it, and now it's basically limitless, right? Because now it's whatever the brain can think of,
Yeah.
kind of. So, like, do you have
Well,
any tips there? Like, what
I
to
I
start
would
out?
I would say, first thing I'd do is I'd probably follow you and start watching some of your videos, because you
Let's go, baby.
you're an AI fanatic. Like let's go, listen to what other people who really understand it. I would go learn, from them. But I would also say, like, look, just ask the AI. Like that is the power of Claude. Like, if you don't know how to do something, or if you don't know, again, what you don't know, like just start asking it, like, hey, what should I be thinking about? Or what are the most common, mistakes that construction businesses are making? Or, are there any KPIs or key metrics, or like, what should I do to dial in my numbers, dial in my profits? Like, the again, like harness this tool. It's not just like, having to operate on this data set. Like even if you have no data, again, ask it what the industry trends are. ask it like any type of information because it's connected, to the internet. Like it can go and find, insights just from trends and data and research that's out there that like, again, like let it be your guide. Ask it, hey, I don't know how to do something, or how do I set this up, or I need to learn this. Like, like that is the power of AI here for people.
Dude, it's absolutely insane, and definitely learn with the prompting. And so I always call it like chunking, right? Where I think some people ask for too much in the beginning, right? So I would say ask for something that's more simple in the beginning, right? And then like one thing that I've been thinking about analyzing, right? Because we have a new client that we're setting up on JobTread, right? They sign up, MCP hits, right? Now they got all these kind of questions, right? And so they were working on a process, right, where basically they want to allow their team members to have a rinse and repeat process to be able to do estimating with Claude, right? So that's something you want to think about. If you want to scale your business, you need to have rinse and repeat processes still, right, that are strong, and then something that you can train others very easily to be able to use Claude effectively to create these estimates, right? If I were you, I would say you want to focus on that, right? And then actually train people on AI. Like, do you have any thoughts on that process? Because that's something I've been thinking about a lot. Is just the rinse and repeat of it in training others, right? Get a Claude Teams account, start to train others. Do you have any thoughts on that where you're talking about scalability of AI processes?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think at the end of the day, like, and I just spoke to a couple hundred high schoolers, and like I told them, like, you need to understand, what it is that like, you're trying to do, right? Like, if they want to get into construction, if you want to be a project manager, if like you need to understand what it's like to be a field person. You need to know how to swing the hammer, how to do those types of things. Like with AI, again, like it is so powerful, but at the end of the day, it's only going to do what you tell it to do. And if you don't tell it and guide it in the right way because you don't actually understand, then like again, you could send it way off track. And so I would encourage people to really, again, like, go through the process of doing things manually still. Make sure that you get it dialed in, you understand what's happening, you learn what you want to then set up as your repeatable process, and then you figure out, okay, now how do I train my AI? How do I create my automations? How do I, stop doing the manual stuff? But like if you don't really dial it in first by using your own expertise, then again, you're kind of missing this opportunity to really customize it to your needs and your business.
So this is where I would start. All right, this is where I would start. First off, just like Eric is saying, right? Know the plan, have a destination. What are you trying to achieve with the AI? Right? I would probably still do our standard like kickoff process of all the mind mapping stuff of hey, what has to happen when a new lead comes in? What are the lead sources? All the boring stuff. I would transcribe that and I would have Claude make an AI map, right? Mind map, and then at that point I can start to kind of work from there, right? But I would start though when I actually start to dive into JobTread and when I just want to start playing with it. These are the two spots that I would play. Actually, maybe three even that I've enjoyed. First off, the dashboards. All right. So now you can have it build you out a dashboard, right? So if you can clearly explain what information you want to be tracked on these dashboard tiles, it will literally build you out a dashboard and put it directly into your system. All right. So there's no reason not to have like 10 different amazing dashboards with all the cool visuals. And remember, I think sometimes people forget on the dashboards, right? There's a view data up in the upper right. So if you actually want to have like a nice visual chart and you click into that, you can actually see the data, right? So I think that's a great way to just see some quick wins right off the bat. All right. And then also custom views. I know I talk maybe too much about custom views, right? But like if you want to see information in certain ways very easily, you can do that. So get some fresh custom views. Add an emoji to the name of it because it looks nice. All right, and then the other one is workflows. All right. So with workflows, remember you can have one trigger, job creator updated, document creator updated using filters. You can have all these different automations going on, right? So if you mind map this thing out, right, you can literally have a super customized, built out workflow like that. I mean, you got anything you want to add into that, Eric? I mean, that's where I've been
You know,
having
I,
the most fun.
Yeah, again, and it's like these are some of the more advanced tools that like now because of AI, like it can help people dive in a lot quicker. And again, when you're starting from a blank slate like that, that's often a lot harder because like you don't know what you don't know. And so when you can start to see these real examples and then maybe you're like, hey, yeah, that's awesome. I want to kind of tweak it or customize it, like because it already set the framework up for you, it's easier to get in there and make those changes. But I would also say like again, like when you're thinking about creating, dashboards or custom views, workflows, like you have to remember that like you have to have the data in a reportable, format. So if you want to, let's say, have a chart of, showing you, sales by project manager, then you need to be able to have that project manager field, created, and you have to track who is the project manager for each job. If you want to see, pending proposals by estimator, or if you wanted to see, all of your jobs, your active jobs by type of job, whatever it may be, like for you to be able to graph and visualize the data, or for you to be able to use that data in those custom views or even in those workflows, then you have to make sure that you have created those fields that are in a format that can be aggregated and reported. So you can't just have like a text field where we're going to enter whatever. And like, because if you had a text field with project manager where you type in, well, I could type in Nick and I might capitalize the N, I might have a
Yeah,
lowercase
spell it
Nick, I
wrong.
might have NIC, NIK, like
Yeah,
those are all
yeah,
different
exactly.
values. And so like, that's why it's important that you standardize the data. And then that is what enables you to create those amazing visualizations and those reports and views.
So, I think that's so important, right? It's all about the process optimization. And then all your tech, all your software is what's going to be able to support it at scale, right? And it's funny because I think, some people almost get a little annoyed with me when I'm asking those questions, right? When I'm going so deep into the detail, right? Where they're like, why the hell is he even asking me this? Like, when it comes to process optimization, right? And just kind of do it in a standardized, just really smooth methodology, do you have any advice there? Because like you said, taking your time and making sure you're thoroughly going. I don't know if it's excitement. I don't know if it's, hey, we got to get the move. Everybody's moving a million miles a minute, right? And so they just
Yeah.
want to run and gun and get it all going. Like, do you have any advice there to be able to like convince people to kind of just slow down, do it right, and the world is
Yeah.
your oyster?
Yeah, when I first took over the construction business, I mean, the very first thing I did was I went and I shadowed every single employee. And I wanted to understand, what are they doing
So
day
good.
to day? Like, what is their process? And like, sometimes if you go ask someone, hey, what is your process? They kind of sort of just give you bits and pieces, maybe the highlights, but like by being able to sit there and watch them, like it was so helpful. I literally transcribed like and wrote down every single thing. And like I would encourage people to go through this exercise on their own. Like, if you want to figure out how to better manage your time, well, for the next, 5 days, sit there and literally log every single thing you're doing. Whenever that squirrel comes along and you start chasing it, you need to document that. I chased this squirrel. I went down this rabbit hole, because like you have to recognize that like these are distractions, and so then you can kind of come back to what are the core actions and the core things that I need to focus on every day. If my job is to generate a proposal, then like I'm going to start at the very beginning and I'm going to write down every single thing that I had to do to reach my goal, and then again, do that 5 or 10 times and see, did you have to do anything, differently at some point or another, or did you miss something sometime or another? Like, when you can really understand, what are you doing every single day, day in, day out to deliver the result, whatever your role or responsibility is that you're trying to accomplish, like that will then like it's crazy how eye-opening that can be for people. But then you can start to dig into each of those and say, hey, man, like, I felt like I was spending a lot of time on this step that just it didn't feel like a good use of my time. And you can start to say, okay, well, let's see, what could we do, to optimize? What could we do to automate or to streamline? Or like, what information did you not have that would have been better if you would have had it already? Or like, what, again, what do you feel like you're banging your head against the wall trying to figure out that you just don't know? Or like, do you have the wrong tool or do you have the wrong, kind of, process? Like, what is it that's creating these bottlenecks and these frustrations? And like, when people feel Like they are able to really kind of open up and sort of just, I mean, everyone kind of thought when I started shadowing that I was going to come in and fire them. And like, by no means was that the intent at all. I just wanted to learn so that I could understand where the breakdowns were and where the pain was and the wasted time and effort was. And that's what enabled me to come back with real solutions that would like truly streamline, make them more efficient.
So good, so good. And if you're somebody who you've kind of built out a team, an exercise like this is so crucial because it's one of those things where you might have been wearing that hat at one time, but you haven't been involved in this in a very long time, right? So maybe they found a better way of doing it. Maybe they're operating a little bit different. Maybe they're having different bottlenecks, right? So an exercise like that is so crucial. One thing that I hear though in a situation like that is, we're different, right? Maybe we're different. We run our business so unique. Every situation's unique. We offer all these services. So it's like, Nick, I don't know what to tell you. It's different. Like, what kind of mind shift? Like, how would you create a mind shift in a situation like that?
You know, I think you bring up a really good point that a lot of times, people think that whatever kind of situation they're in, like it makes it unique or different. Like, I gotta tell you, like, when you look at the fundamentals of managing a business, what specific product or service or trade or whatever it is, like that really isn't like the thing that like will really kind of make or break or make it different or unique. Like again, it's the same fundamentals, and like you have to be able to kind of take that step back and know, again, like, building, pools are a lot more complicated than building a deck, but if you look at a pool versus a house, I mean, again, like you got a lot of trades involved. You got a lot of coordination and scheduling. You got, the need to bring in different equipment at different times and different, people. I mean, like, again, like the fundamentals are actually very, very similar, and so like it's more about like, let's focus on the process and don't let the specific, product that you're delivering kind of derail you, because that's just part of the process. The unique aspect of, do I need, concrete, or do I need flooring, or do I need, drywall? Like, again, that's just all part of the process, but it's the same process that we're going to go through. And some businesses, their processes are going to be better than others, and that's the real thing to focus on, is like, our process is breaking down. Our process is frustrating people. Our process is creating disconnects. We don't have good, communication and transparency. And like, those are the things that will create the actual issues. It's not that you had a more complicated or less complicated or different, thing that you're doing. It's a level back. It's a level up to really focus on the process. And the other thing, Nick, that I want to throw out there, because like, again, like, I see so many people, and again, like, this was my experience at the construction company that I took over. Like, the owner, like, he understood the difference between markup and margin, and he was using margin to calculate his price. He did not realize that he needed to train and explain this nuance to everyone else in the company who didn't understand the difference, and he just sort of thought that they knew how to calculate the price, and they were just marking up their cost. And so like, I say that to point out the fact that, again, like, you have to document and you have to train your people. You have to create these system, and these flows and these processes, your SOPs, like, for people to follow. And it sometimes it can be those little things that you think are just so obvious, but like, you can't skip over those things because it might not be obvious to other people. That's why, like, when you get into the minutia and you ask those very detailed questions, like, that's so important. It makes sure that when you're helping these guys develop, what is this process? Like, you're not accidentally skipping things. You're not taking for granted that this person has been doing this for 10 years and this person's only been doing it for a year. Like, that is the whole purpose of going through these exercises, to very clearly define what is the process that will help you to scale your business. And it means that every new person you bring on, you've got an ironclad, set of documentation, set of onboarding guides and training that will help you to get them up to speed so much faster.
So good. I mean, so I want to just pick your brain from your own advice, right? I think, contractors will get stuck at a growth stage, and they're not able to break through. With somebody like that, because obviously, you look at your business success, how you've been able to scale, right? Your client retention, right? Kind of the community you created, you're able to keep the prices down, and you're just kind of blowing it out of the water. Like, is it, hey, simplify your business, maybe offer less? Is it to be better at delegating? Is it to be more process focused? Like, is there anything you've been seeing kind of on a regular basis where it's like when they make
You
that
know,
change, it kind of
I
unlocks some
think it's
things for
all the
them?
above. A lot of times I
Yeah.
see people over engineer a process when they don't need to. Like, you do not need to focus on scaling your business until you need to scale your business. So many people think that they have to perfect everything. And then, perfection is the thing that, like, holds them back, and it causes them to actually go slower and to not, get off the starting block. Like, sometimes you got to just get out there and go do it and learn. As long as you are constantly trying to evaluate what worked, what did not, and you're continually trying to improve, then I think that's how you do it. I mean, like, we cannot let, just perfection, perfection, what do they say, is like the enemy of progress, right? Like, you always need to figure out what is the simplest, fastest, easiest way to get from point A to point B without sacrificing quality, without sacrificing, the core that that you need to do to deliver a great service, great product. But, like, I think too, like, you can't get complacent. You can't make the assumption that, like, what got you from 0 to 1 million is going to be the same thing that's going to get you from 1 to 2 to 5 to 10 to 20. Every different, stage of your business is going to, present different challenges. And what got you from here, from there to here, is not what's going to get you, to there. Like, you have to take time to step back from the business. I would say, get out of your office, get out of your day to day, take time periodically, whether it's once a quarter, twice a year, every year, whatever it is, take time to get everyone out of the office, out of the business, take some time together to just have those kind of those reflection times, those like, let's talk about, guys, when we look back on the last year, when we look back on the last quarter, like, what worked well and what didn't work. So many people don't take the time to analyze and discuss and to collaborate and have that real, open, and honest communication without, trying to throw people under the bus, or, like, get people ousted off the train. It's just like, guys, like, let's be real. Let's be honest. Like, if I, as a leader, did something that, made it harder for us to operate, like, I want my team to tell me. And if I see something that one of my employees is doing, then I need to feel comfortable telling them. And that is the only way that you will be able to continue to grow and to be able to implement real drive the business forward. But you can't just keep doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. Like, that is the definition of insanity. You have to continually change to grow and scale your business. That is what it will take.
So you said a lot of key things there. One of them is the accountability aspect, right? You need to have a culture that kind of leans into the accountability is love, right?
Yeah.
Where it's not in a mean way, right? But this is kind of a standard that you, as a family, as an organization, hold each other to, right? And if we can't figure it out, let's work together, figure out how we can get you on the right path to hit those goals, because we care about you. You're a key part. We want to make sure that you're successful. That's huge, right? And, like, another one was, another level, another devil, right? You think that once you get through this stage, that all of a sudden it's, rainbows and butterflies, right? But unfortunately, it's not. All of a sudden now you're at another level, you're on another test, right? That you have to try to figure out. Now, for example, with you, and we can kind of take this advice, and other people can look at it in their own business, right? Obviously, as you guys have scaled, right? I mean, that's great, but, like, you're having to learn new things. The team's gonna have to learn new things, all that. What kind of keeps you compelled, I guess, to try to take on that next level? Obviously, you guys have big goals and kind of dreams I'm sure you guys will hit. But, like, what is it that can make it, like, so enticing? Like, is it the why? Like, what is it that makes you guys the sickos like me that want to just keep grinding away, no matter what level you get to?
Yeah. I think it really is like our it's our mission, it's our vision, it's our passions. The at the end of the day, like, look, man, like, I was super fortunate I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. My dad is a serial entrepreneur. My mom she's a psychologist, or she's retired now, but like she set up her own private practice for, 40 years or something like that. Like, I grew up in this entrepreneurial environment, and that, like, that motivated me to be an entrepreneur. And like, I was just so fortunate though to again have my dad, as my mentor, my guide, the person that I could call at any time and ask any piece of advice. And like, again, like I feel very compelled to give back and to pay it forward and to help as many other aspiring entrepreneurs and small business owners to be able to solve, their problems and to help them to grow and succeed, because I have seen the fruits of the labor of hard work, determination. Again, I've built and sold, a company. I'm not in this for the money. Like, I want to be able to create as big of a platform as I possibly can to help as many other entrepreneurs out there to be successful. Like, it is the greatest possible career to be an entrepreneur or to work in a small business where you are not a number and you are valued and you are making a real impact. And I love that we are able to help other small businesses every single day to be able to, I hope that we are, good role models, and that we are showing them how to build a successful business and how to treat your customers, how to treat your employees, how to build a great culture, how to deliver excellence at every possible stage. Like, do we get it right every time? No. But like, that is our intention, that is our goal. And I want that to be an inspiration to others, because man, like, life is too short to not spend it doing the things that you love, that make you happy, what you're passionate, and doing it with the people that you care about. Like, otherwise, like, what are we doing here? Yeah. Yeah, so he was the first person I hired in my last company. He's my CFO. He's the first person I hired in this company, or second, but he was CFO for a while. We have handed off the CFO reins to our controller Matt. So he's now taken on, as of this year, he's taken on the CFO duties. My dad's still involved. He comes to all the leadership meetings. He wants to go spend time with my wife or my mom, and travel, and kind of, him and my mom have, they've kind of reached that point in their career and their lives where, it's, again, they're just wanting to travel the world and enjoy kind of this last part of, their life. And so he's still along for the ride and the journey. He loves watching it and chiming in when we need his help. But it's pretty cool for him to be able to have the freedom to go do, what he wants to do.
So yeah, I mean, I love that, and I'm gonna pull up some stuff while we were talking. I was just having the MCP build the dashboard, so I will pull that up. I'll show a little bit there so that we get a little visuals for sure. But one thing that you got me thinking about, you mentioned family, all this kind of stuff, and we'll kind of bring it to close here shortly. I appreciate the time. I know it's late on a Friday, but when you're looking at the education system, right, and what you're telling kind of your kids to kind of prepare for their career with AI, it's crazy. The trades are a great opportunity right now, and what I love about working with contractors, they're so family orientated. Like, what's your mindset there of like kids' kind of future, I guess, with the weird career paths that they're gonna have as an option?
I that's a great question. And it was interesting, right? I'm sitting in this room with a couple hundred of these high schoolers earlier today, and I had to bring up AI, and I was like, look, how many of you in this room are using AI? And like, only a few of them raised their hand. I was like, all right, teachers, earmuffs. I was like, guys, AI is the greatest tool that you have at your disposal that you need to get on. Like, again, I'm not saying that like we need to use it for cheating and, for to just do your work, but like, man, like, what a great tool to be able to learn from, and let it help teach you how to do things. Let it give you ideas, and kind of just like when you want to figure something out, like you don't know where to start, like, bam, just go start talking to it. And I think like this idea generation, like, what it helps is people to kind of like move forward and get a direction and come up with like creative solutions that they may not have ever thought about before. And so like I think it's such a powerful thing. And I know in education there's kind of a little weird, time that we're in right now. Like, should it be allowed? Should it not be allowed? In my company, like, I only want to hire people that know how to use AI. Why would I want somebody who doesn't know how to use AI? Like, that's crazy. And that tells me that like they need to be teaching it. And I was so like excited. I went to this career center today,
And I saw all of these high schoolers who were literally like, for every single trade, they had these huge labs set up where like they could get hands-on experience. If you wanted to learn about carpentry and, working with wood and, plumbing or electrical, or, they had like this whole huge like HVAC, training area where they could practice that, or automotive. And, like it just like all of these different trades, like to see the students so young, like in there, like still learning and playing, like that really, like it really made me feel a lot better about this future generation, to know that like they're not going to just all sit back on their phones scrolling and become these like mindless whatever's like I think that again, like we still need people in this world, and we're not going to just all be replaced immediately by AI and by robots, and I'm sure these tools are going to keep coming, but like there is going to be a role. And I would tell my kids, what I encourage everyone is like, do not forget the value of experience. At the end of the day, like if this AI just somehow goes away, or nobody has it, like the people who have that real world experience are going to be so valuable. Like that is what we need, is you to continue to develop experience and expertise. Like figure out what you're passionate about and go do that. Like there should be nothing that like stops you from really like finding your passion. And I think at the end of the day, like that's all that I could ever hope for with my children, is that they can find something that they're passionate about. I would love for them to be entrepreneurs, and hopefully at least one of them. We've got a 7-year-old son and an 8-year-old daughter. Hopefully one of them will be Carter, my son. He says he wants to take over JobTread. So
How cool would that be?
that's hopeful. But yeah,
How
it's
cool would
all
that
about
be?
experience.
That's always the goal, is that fun stuff like that. That's what it's all about, man. I love that.
Yeah.
And I think, I'll kind of piggyback on what you just said. Find your passion. I'm a believer in that, right? If you enjoy it, right, you'll be able to figure it out, right? You can figure out anyhow if the why is big enough, right?
Yep.
And so I would dial in my skill set and my passion, and then I would still equip it with that AI skills, right? So it's like, for me, it's like if I was going into a job interview, it would almost be like it's me and my AI agent, right? It's like me, right? And that's really what you're selling, right? It's like, hey, I could be 10 times more productive than this other person, which you can honestly get to that point. So that's what I would do. But now I want to at least share this here, because obviously we just had the big release here. So I'm gonna pull this up here. Let's see what we got. Entire screen. There we go. So basically, I'm just gonna kind of show you guys just a brief overview here of kind of what it looks like. So if you guys have not set this up, right? So you guys are on JobTread and you want to get your MCP set up, all right? So you're going to go into your favorite AI account, all right? If it's Claude, you're just going to hit this little plus button, right? The connectors, go manage connectors, all right? What you're going to do is you're going to take this link up here. It's the api.jobtread.com/MCP question mark. Then from there, you can put on whatever that's going to be related to your business, all right? So now when you're chatting to it, right, you're going to see the JobTread logo pop up when it's interacting with that MCP, all right? So I didn't put a lot of effort in my prompt here because we were talking and I was listening to the conversation while I was doing this. But this dashboard right here, right, was built through that MCP, right? I said that I wanted one that was on sales and estimating, some pipeline stuff, whatever it might be. I don't even remember what I prompted it. But that was able to give me, one of my a million dashboards that I got now over here, right? So do something like that. And then I think once you sink your teeth into it, something like that. But remember, focus on your process. But once you're feeling good, start doing stuff like that, man. And it's going to be an absolute game changer. If you take the time to optimize your processes, get your system clean, get it organized, think about scalability, rinse and repeat, simplified yet functional processes, and then you get a Claude's team account, you connected to this MCP, man, it's game over. You guys are going to blow all the competition out of the water, right? And you guys are going to win so big. Remember, better starts now. It's going to be great. And we're going to be so pumped about it, my man. So, Eric, hey, it's been an absolute pleasure hanging out. I really appreciate the time. I'll be seeing you out in Dallas in May. I'm really looking forward to that. I always let, the guests kind of take over at the end here. You could get, for any kind of, it could be a wisdom, it could be a quote, it could be a book, it could be AI advice. I don't care what it is, man. But I really appreciate you joining us, and I'll let you kind of close this out with your closing statement, if you will. I mean, if you can do 3 keynotes in one conference, I'm sure you can figure out one closing statement.
I mean, I'm gonna say, to all the JobTread users out there, I mean, one, the fact that you've already tuned into this podcast, that you are so far ahead of the game. I would encourage you, like, man, like, if you got the opportunity to work with Nick and his team, like, you can already see, like, this guy is a wizard, and man, like, I have seen, so many of the contractors. I'll never forget the guy who said, you literally, he bought JobTread, he bought the Ferrari, but he didn't know how to drive it. He worked with you, and like, you literally gave him the keys, showed him how to drive it, and like, the potential is just, yeah, exactly. Like, the potential here is unlimited, and so, like, I want to encourage people to, like, take the time to learn how to use the tools in your toolkit. And there's constantly being, new tools, the tools are being updated. So, like, I realize it takes some time to follow along, but like, man, like, when you can appreciate what is happening and how technology is evolving and how you are continually getting better and better tools and systems, like, that's how you are going to stay so far. I mean, you're just going to leapfrog that competition when you get it dialed in. So if you're not signed up for the advanced boot camps that Nick is talking about, and he's going to be coming out, let me look up, so it's, yeah, so I believe it's May. I just want to confirm here. Let's see, advanced boot camps. So you can go to jobtrade.com. It's under the resources there. So we've got the advanced boot camps. The upcoming dates are, so on April 23rd, 24th, that's the advanced reporting boot camp, and then on May 7th and 8th, that's the advanced workflows, automations. We're gonna get AI in there. Like, again, for, I think it's like, what is it, like $199? Like, you get to come in and we take care of all your breakfast, your food. You get a happy hour and event in our office, get to see the behind the scenes, but man, you're also getting a special opportunity to learn from Nick in person, see this guy work his magic with AI.
Live
This is
action, baby.
definitely-
Let's add some stuff to their account while we're there, baby. Let's make it
Yeah,
happen.
that's what I'm saying. So come on out, man. Like, you guys come spend that time. It's a great opportunity, but at the end of the day, like, what I want to encourage everyone out there is just remember, like, this is your career. This is your opportunity to build something great, to lead by example, to deliver great customer experiences, deliver great experiences for your employees, for your team members, your trade partners. Like, if you live every day and you can just leave it all out in the field knowing that you gave it your all, like, you cannot go to sleep upset with yourself. And I encourage everyone to do that. The next day you wake up, every day what I do is I think, what are my 3 big rocks? What do I want to accomplish every single day? I write them down when I'm driving into the office. That's what helps keep me focused on accomplishing my goals. I encourage you all to do the same. And, again, just do the absolute best that you can. We're here for you. Nick's here for you. You've got a great community of support and people. So look, it's not easy being an entrepreneur. It's not easy being, building a successful business. But man, like, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And then, what would happen? Who knows? Like, the point is that you are already in a position to lead and to build something great. So keep up the good work, keep committing to it, and you can do it. And I can't wait to see everyone at the top.
Let's go. I love it. Hey, and as I close it out, it's funny. Me and Brittany just saw Mr. Wonderful speak. He does the 3 rocks. What are the 3 rocks I got to move today? So I love it. Mr. Wonderful agrees. So everybody out there, like, subscribe, share. Connect your MCP. If you're not on JobTread, make sure that you go out, check them out, get a demo. And if you are on there, you got your MCP connector or not, sign up for the advanced bootcamp in May. Let's get you dialed in and let's have some fun. And remember, better starts now. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.